Perfect with no flaws at all, are the laws of Allah. A way of life, a way of life, a way of life, a way of life.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All praise belongs to Allah, and may His peace and blessings be upon His Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I welcome you, dear viewers, to this episode where we are joining our dear shuyukh to discuss the topic of death and funerals. Joining us in this episode, we have Sheikh Asim Al-Hakim from Saudi Arabia, Sheikh Mamdul Muhammad from the USA, Sheikh Muhammad Al-Sharif from Canada, and Sheikh Salim Al-Amri from the UAE. May Allah reward you all for joining us. Now, in the previous episodes, we've discussed all of the matters leading up to death. Now we've got to death. Someone in our community, our family, a friend has passed away. Now, it may be for many communities or people that as soon as death comes, they don't know what to do. We know that there are things to do. We know that as Muslims, we bury our dead in a way, we have certain rituals beforehand. But if we're not aware of these, it might come as sudden shock. So we all of a sudden rush, what do we do? Because we might not have learnt about the sunnahs, about the commands of the burial. So no doubt this shows that knowing these beforehand is going to benefit us. Just like with any act of worship. If we were to go for Hajj, we're going to spend months beforehand making sure that we know how to do the Hajj. Yet Hajj is once in a lifetime. Death, we might encounter death many times in a lifetime. Not for ourselves. You die once, but your family members could die many times. This is something which no doubt most of us are going to see happening quite often. So we're going to begin now. Once the person dies, we've gone through some of the sunnahs of closing the eyes, all of these matters, making dua, but now we get to the physical aspects. So I suppose we're probably going to begin, for example, with washing the body. So I'll start with you, Sheikh Asim. Could you tell us the steps that the believers will take at this point?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وآله وصحبه ومن تبع بهداه أما بعد. Before I start, I find it ironic, subhanallah. Whenever humans need something, Allah Azza wa Jal makes it easy. And depending on their need. So if humans need to breathe, you find that air is everywhere. You can breathe without paying money for that until now, alhamdulillah. You don't have any royalties or taxations. So it's easy because it is essentially needed. If you go a step down, you'd find that everyone needs to drink, but not as their need to breathe. So there is water, but to get it is not as easy as when it comes to breathing. Likewise in Islam, whenever you need something, Allah Azza wa Jal facilitates this for you. And He makes it easy for you to do. So everyone needs to get married. And marriage in Islam is very easy, no complications. And Sheikh Musa, probably you know this best. You go to propose to someone, and the guardian says, I give you my daughter in marriage. You say, I accept. There are 2 witnesses or more. That is it. Of course, with the consent of the girl. It's simple.
How about the dowry?
It's not a pillar. It is something that is a condition that it can be named. If not named now, maybe can be named afterwards, even after consummating the marriage. So it doesn't have to do with the validity of the marriage. When you come to death, subhanallah, preparing a deceased person to his burial happens in less than 3 or 4 hours. Where I come from in Saudi, Allah described it as a musibah in the Quran. It is a calamity. It is a catastrophe and a disaster to the relatives. But they have to get it over with. And where I come from, it takes 2 to 3 hours to get everything over. And he's buried and that's it. So it is very easy in Islam to prepare a funeral and to do its rites. Simply, you wash the body, you shroud it, you pray funeral prayer, and you bury it. Now, there are some details, but this is the main principle.
And actually, I just want to compare it to, like, if you're living in the West, when somebody dies, they have to take a loan. Take a loan because it's so expensive.
And I was about to say that also inexpensive.
It's inexpensive.
For Muslim.
The most expensive taxi cab ride, they say, from the funeral home to the burial, the draining of blood, the lips, all the things that they have to do. and yeah, like you're looking at 10,000 or more when.
And they
this is not
prepare
even
this money. They
the-
prepare this money before they die. So
Yeah, they
each
take
one of them would
insurance
say
just
they
for the
take,
janazah
make
fund.
insurance.
Insurance for
Yeah,
For the janazah.
for the
Yeah.
janazah.
Then the burial, the
Becomes very
tombstone, and
expensive.
All those things, yeah. And
then
then
musical band coming, processions, and alhamdulillah, Islam is way, way, way easy because this is a fact of life. Death is a fact of life. So when we will discuss this, just to give you a preview, it is just washing, shrouding, and praying and burying. Oh, these four things. But the details are not that essential in the sense that, no, if you did not do this, dig him out. Let's do it again.
Yeah, but you are educating the Muslims.
Yes.
Yes.
So now we're going to go into details so that they would know what is the perfect way of doing it. Okay. When a person dies, the first thing you do after everything is needed, getting the permission for burying him, etc., you start to wash him. And you cannot wash him with his clothes on, so you have to strip him. Now, the Prophet ﷺ was an exception because the companions, may Allah be pleased with them, did not take his clothes off. They could not even think of doing that, and they heard the voice saying to them that wash him with his clothes on. We're talking about individuals. So the scholars say that you have to take his clothes or her clothes off, but we have to point out that those who wash the deceased must be from the same sex. So you don't have my mother, my sister coming washing me. This is unacceptable in
What about
Islam.
the wife?
They will come to that. And I cannot wash my daughter if she's reached the age of puberty, or even if she is over 6 years or 7 years of age. I cannot see her body because she is awra, even to me, her father. The exception is the spouses. In Islam, we believe that a Muslim, a husband can see his wife and a wife can see her husband as they were born. So when it comes to washing, it is permissible for the husband or to wife to wash the spouse. And this was done by Asma bint Umais, may Allah be pleased with her, when she washed Abu Bakr. And this was done by Ali ibn Abi Talib, may Allah be pleased with him, when he washed Fatima. And this was wished for by Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, when she said, if it were to me, no one would have washed the Prophet ﷺ except his wives, because they are the only one who can do this.
I'd like to add something here because it is some school of thoughts, and the Hanafi school in particular. They say a husband cannot do this, and their argument actually is that what makes it lawful for the husband is the wedlock, and the wedlock has been now terminated and ended, so he is not allowed to see her. So, but this is now they are using the analogy, the qiyas, in the presence of the clear text. Okay? So qiyas you resort to in the absence of the text. And the Prophet ﷺ, he came of one of the battlefields and he had a headache. And he found Aisha also has a headache. And he said, oh, I have a headache. And she is saying the same thing. He said, oh, what do you think if you die before me? This is what the Prophet ﷺ is saying.
Teasing
if you
her.
die before me, then I will wash you and bury you. Subhanallah. Aisha, she felt what?
Jealous.
Jealous, and said, oh, you want to go to the other woman.
Otherwise,
Subhanallah. But here the Prophet ﷺ is telling us clearly that he can wash his. And who can understand this deen better than the Sahaba? This is the faqih of the Muslims, Ali, Imam, Sayyidina Ali, radiallahu anhu. He's washing Fatima, al-Zahra. So we should not be fanatic. When the truth comes, we have to accept it and come back to the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ.
Now, when we come to the washing, and I'll ask you, Sheikh Mamdouh, we say washing. I mean, what type of washing? You can wash just with water, with soap, like a shower. When we say
has
what type of things we're
specific
talking
details,
about.
and I will pass it to Hakim, who is specialized in this, and he always makes
Just out of
workshops on
curiosity,
that.
while we've got you all, has anyone actually done this process themselves with a real, other than Sheikh Asim?
Yeah.
Yes?
We participated.
Okay, because of course I haven't come across this yet, and it's something that's a little bit uncommon in the West.
But before we just starting explaining the procedure, the one who does it should be an honest person. I mean, trustworthy. Because sometimes you see good signs, sometimes you see bad signs. Okay, so if you see good signs, you can mention them. MashaAllah, some people, when you are watching them, you feel they are smiling. They are smiling in reality. They are smiling. Or they are raising their finger. Or these are good signs. And sometimes the opposite.
So what if family, you're washing the body and the family says, did you see any good signs? And you didn't. Is this one of those cases when you can...
You should not lie, but say Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, make dua for him, try to...
pass it over?
Okay, so we're mentioning about the washing.
So first of all, you have to take off the clothes. But when you take off the clothes, you have to make sure that the awrah is covered. And for the man, the awrah from the navel to the knees, and for the woman, we will come to discuss this later on, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah. We're going to go to a very short break, and after this, we'll continue with the exact details of the washing, inshallah. So, dear viewers, do stay tuned, inshallah. We'll be back after a very short moment.
Islam solves all of its problems.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, dear viewers. We're here with our dear Shaykh discussing the topic of death and funerals. Now, just before the break, Shaykh Asim, you were mentioning once the person dies, we take their clothes off, we undress them, but we cover the awrah. So now, what happens after this?
Taking the clothes off, the best scenario is to actually take them off, if you can, because you can utilize these clothes and someone else can use them, which is not, unfortunately, the case in a lot of the Muslim countries. They believe that they become superstitious and they say, no, this is the clothes of a dead person, let's burn it, let's get rid of it. No, these are proper clothes. They should be used or given to the poor. If you're unable to take them off, you have to have scissors. So scissors are one of the things that should be ready when you wash a dead person. So you take it off, but when you come to the area between the knees and the navel, before taking the clothes off, you should put a sheet that would ensure that this area is not visible. After you strip a person from his or her, not you, definitely, with the sisters, don't get weird ideas. The sisters, for example, what is the awrah for a sister? The awrah for a sister is from her beneath neck till her knees. This is the area to be covered. Not like some people saying that, oh, she's like the man from the knees to the navel. No. This area should be concealed. And unfortunately, nowadays, a lot of the Muslims, the living, they expose these parts thinking that it's okay to do this. We hear about them when they go to weddings and we go to the parties and exposing their thighs, and all of this is un-Islamic, and those doing this are not related to practicing Islam properly. Once we cover the awrah, suppose we prepare the...
Awrah means nakedness, huh?
Excuse me?
Nakedness, yes, in some case.
Yes, the awrah is his nakedness, or the area that is supposed to be concealed other than the wife or the spouse. We prepare the material needed. And what is the material? First of all, water. We can't wash without water. And we have to have sidr. And sidr is the seed or the plant called lut. And it is widely spread in Arabia. It has a nice scent to it, but it acts like detergents, like soap. And that is why when you do it, there is a process of doing it, of preparing it, because you have to have a certain foam. So you start shaking it until it has a foam. With this foam, we use it as a shampoo to wash the hair and the beard if a person has one, inshallah. Once you get this amount of water, buckets of water, nowadays you don't need buckets, you have these sprinklers or hoses, so this would keep it clean. You have to have a proper drainage, because once you wash the body, things will come out of it. And you don't want this stagnant. You have to have a proper drainage to it. What do we begin with? We begin with giving the proper ghusl for a deceased person. How does a living person perform ghusl? If you have a janaba, a state of impurity, how do you perform the actual rituals of ghusl? You begin with washing your private parts. Then you perform wudu, proper wudu. Then you wash your head till the water reaches the roots of your hair. Then you wash the right side, then the left side, then the feet. So with the deceased, we do the same. First of all, we have to ensure that his private parts and his stomach does not contain any impurities, because he's human. Now he's unable to ask for a couple of minutes to go to the call of nature. So what the scholars say you do is you make him sit halfway, not all the way. Now, how would I make him sit? Excuse me, akhi. I have to make him sit. So I make the deceased, bend his back a little bit so that as if he is sitting halfway, and I wash the waist down with a lot of water, thoroughly washing him while pressing a little bit lightly on the stomach. And of course, this is from underneath the piece of cloth with my left hand. Nowadays we have gloves, so you have to hygienically wear these gloves, and with a piece of cloth or cotton you start to clean his private parts. And by pressing it, if you see that there are things coming out, you use water again and again and again until you feel that it has stopped. There's nothing else in his stomach, nothing else is coming out. You get rid of this cloth in a proper, secure place so that it would not harm people and make people detest it in a sense. Then you start to give this man wudu, or that woman. Now, wudu, you're not going to be able to turn the water in the mouth. On the contrary, this might be unadvisable and not good, because you don't want the water to go in his stomach and then start the process all over again. So you simply just rub the teeth with your finger with water in it and just put it like this on the nose without needing to go in deep and do this cleaning as some people do. This is not the proper way of doing it. And you wash the limbs of wudu like you normally do. Then you wash the head and the beard with this foam. So you're washing and cleaning, washing and cleaning. You can do this once, 3 times, as the sunnah is.
I'm going to ask, you mentioned that you used the sidr.
Yes.
You said it's common in Arabia.
Lotus leaves, yeah.
If you're somewhere else, do you only use water if you don't have this, or can you use shampoo and soap and...
The scholars say that if the sunnah is, you use sidr, because this is what the Prophet ﷺ advised, and this is what was the doing of the companions, though they had ashnan, which is also another form of soap, but he indicated this. However, the cause for using this is to clean. So we follow the sunnah. But if you're in a country that does not have this, use shampoos, use soap, use anything to clean the body. See, scholars say that sidr has another effect that is not available in soap. Soap does not have it, and that is, sidr has the ability to stiffen the body. So after you finish, you don't want the body to be loose, because you're going to carry it and you're going to put it in the grave. You want it to be stiffened. And sidr has this ability to make it cold, the body to make it cold and to make it stiff. Okay, giving wudu, then we wash the hair and the beard. Now we come to washing the rest of the body. So you wash the right sides of the body. The man is lying on his back. Same goes with the woman, so I'm not going to make this differentiation every time. And then you want to wash the back right-hand side of the person. So what to do? You have to flip the person. And the best way of flipping the person is to put the right foot over the left foot of the deceased, to cross them. Because if they're like this, the foot that is on the side you're going to flip is loose, and it's going to make life difficult. The minute you cross the deceased foot, put one over the other, you can easily flip the deceased. You wash the back, the shoulders, the underpit, and likewise the thighs, without exposing the awrah, as we've stated before. You put the deceased on his back again, you go to the left side, you wash the front side, and then you do the same with the leg, and you flip the person over, and you wash thoroughly this side.
Do you mean to flip him?
Not on his face, no, on his side only.
That's it.
So it's on his shoulder. Because the shoulder, when he was on his back, I've already washed this side, washed the front side. So when I flip the person, it is like being on the edge, on the other shoulder. So I wash that area.
So now you've washed the entire body.
Yes, now the last wash that to be used for purification and for cleanliness, the Prophet told us to put in it kafur. What's kafur?
Camphor.
Okay, camphor. And camphor is a form of tib, of scent, of perfume, that also would add value to the deceased, that it repels the beasts, the dogs, the thing from coming in. It has a strong scent that would send them away. And also it would help the body to be intact and firm.
Okay, so now the body has been washed. We've put everything on it that we need to do. So what is next in line in the funeral or burial process?
Of course, drying it, definitely you have to dry it.
Then shrouding.
Yeah, I'm talking about practical ways, because if you are not used to it, it's going to be a mess a little bit. Not a lot, a little bit. So after you have done what you've done, what to do? First of all, this cloth is engaged in so many things of perfume, sidr, kafur, and the impurities that's coming out. So you have to change it. Now the body is clean. First thing, I bring another clean piece of cloth and I dry the deceased with towel, and then I put the piece of cloth and take the wet, dirty piece of cloth. So now he's covered. Now what to do? I cannot shroud him in the same place. So I have to remove him to a dry place. And before doing that, you prepare the shrouds. And how many shrouds do I prepare in that dry place before I even start washing him, so that he would not wait? I would shroud him in 3 shrouds as the sunnah, being white and being made of cotton, like the Prophet ﷺ instructed and like the one he was shrouded in. And for the woman, she's shrouded in, some scholars say the same, and other schools of thought say no, they should be shrouded in 5. When I put in place, is it the same size of the deceased? Is the shroud the same size of the deceased? It's much, much more. So if I'm 6 foot, it should be at least 1.5 feet from the head side more, and 1.5 feet from the legs side, and it should be this big enough to cover the deceased. Not having exactly, it's not a sandwich. When I put the first layer, I put a lot of perfume. And then I put the second layer, and I put a lot of perfume. And I put the third layer, and I put a lot of perfume.
Now, just in case anybody gets this wrong, because we were mentioning in another episode about how in some cultures they might imitate Islamic traditions, and they would dress the person in a suit and everything. So they're entirely undressed, and then we're only putting shrouds, no clothing.
Only
True.
shrouds, yes.
Because dressing them goes completely against Islam.
Okay, so now we've put the shrouds, and now we've wrapped them in the 3, or according to some opinions 5 for the females, and now the body is ready for burial. So that does bring us to the end of our episode. May Allah reward you all, our dear Shaykh. Been very good having you discussing this topic, and may Allah also reward you, our dear viewers. We hope inshallah that you've benefited greatly from this topic, and we hope inshallah to see you in our coming episodes. Until then, I greet you all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
A way of life, a way of life, a way of